Now, today's top stories and Power of 5 weather from News 5. Sponsored by Akron Children's Hospital.
Good Sunday morning, Northeast Ohio, on this Memorial Day weekend. A holiday set aside, as we know, to remember those who have died in the service of our country. We remember them in a week tragically marked by the young lives lost in that Texas school shooting. In Washington and in some state legislatures around the country, there are calls for action on gun reform measures like enhanced background checks or red flag laws. But based on what's happened here in Ohio over the last 5 years, don't look for the Buckeye State to be one of them. On the day after the 2019 mass shooting in Dayton, Governor Mike DeWine was met by voices calling for action.
Some chanted, "Do something." And they were absolutely right. We must do something.
The something for DeWine was a 17-point plan to toughen the state's gun laws and penalties for gun crimes while expanding access to state mental health resources for those who may pose a threat.
We can come together to do these things to save lives.
We being the administration and the legislature, but almost 3 years later, the package of reforms remains basically untouched. And it's not just DeWine. After the 2017 mass shooting in Las Vegas, then Governor John Kasich compiled a bipartisan group of Second Amendment advocates. Told them, don't tell me what you disagree on, tell me what you can agree on so that some action could be taken immediately. They came up with 6 things where there was unanimous agreement, ranging from closing gaps on background checks to adding protections to keep guns out of the hands of potentially dangerous people.
If somebody's unstable and they can pose a threat to their family, to themselves, or to somebody else, you go to court, you make the case, and you can take their guns. This makes total common sense.
At the time, I asked Kasich. I often say the gun violence reform talks are like a firework. They shoot up, they burn bright, catch everyone's attention for a short while, and then they fade away. What makes this approach different this time here in Ohio?
My fear is you could be right.
And 8 months later, when Kasich's term came to an end, it did so without the legislature acting on those gun reforms. After the 2019 Dayton shooting, Kasich told me he felt there might have been a window for the legislature to act, but only if those in favor of change were as persistent as those who were opposed. This is one of the reasons why.
Listen, I remember having a conversation with a legislator who I considered to be pretty smart. And I said, you got to be for the red flag law. And he says to me, but I had one guy in my district that called me who doesn't like any of this. And that motivated him more than what he knew needed to be done. He was afraid, I guess.
And that actually gets to a historical point that Kasich has always made. Whenever there have been times of true change in our country, civil rights, women's suffrage, environmental awareness, that change always came not from the top down, but from the bottom up. People saying enough. Senator Sherrod Brown telling me this week that the time has come for this issue to rise to that level.
Gun safety doesn't rise to the issue to the level of, I vote against that. I vote against that politician because he's in bed with the gun lobby. I know that some people vote for politicians that are in bed with the gun lobby, but not enough vote the other way. And I think that Governor Kasich's right. It starts at the bottom, and it means that grassroots have to force this, and if politicians continue to be in bed with the gun lobby, you got to replace those politicians in November.
The Senate, though, won't be taking any action this week. They are on recess until June 6th, break due to tomorrow being Memorial Day. And while many of you will take time out to mark the occasion, maybe at a local parade or observance, there's a group I ran into on Thursday that started their observances early. We all appreciate the majesty of Memorial Day, the display of colors and the sea of flags that adorn the graves at local cemeteries. But so caught up in the solemnity of the setting are we that we might not even think of the work that went into making these awe-inspiring sights happen. That's where these folks come in, the volunteers at places like Lakeview Cemetery, who begin the process days in advance of setting the scene. Over a 3-day period, they will one by one set in place literally thousands of American flags on the graves of the veterans buried here.
I think they're so critical because I don't know that we could do almost 9,000 flags within a short amount of time.
Armed with maps of the graves of the 8,911 known veterans buried here, they set out. Folks like Ken Aguilar.
My dad was a veteran.
Today's his birthday, and giving back was the present he wanted to get.
My daughter's in from California, so I said, we're going to do this on my birthday, and they said fine.
Kim and Kelly from Kirtland are first-time volunteers in this effort, appreciating the fact that each one of these graves carries with it its own individual tale of service to the flag that they're honored to place next to it this day.
You know there's a lot of veterans out there, but when you're walking grave by grave and seeing what wars they fought in, it really is, yeah, it's very moving.
Daniel Volpe agrees. Like many of the volunteers here, he says being here and doing this puts into perspective the true meaning of the holiday.
This is, I think, a great way to kick off the weekend, but also to be introspective while we're out here.
It was President Franklin Roosevelt who said years ago that those who have long enjoyed such privileges as we enjoy forget in time that men and women have died to win them. Through efforts like this, we remember those souls especially and the families they left behind so that we can enjoy time this weekend with ours. Good thought to end on. With Democracy 2022, I'm John Kasich. Enjoy your Sunday.
Yesterday was beautiful, but if you love the heat, we have just the forecast for you. Getting back into the 80s today, even warmer for Memorial Day, more humid too. Hottest day of the week looks to be on Tuesday. Rain and storms return Wednesday, Thursday. Some of them could be on the strong or severe side. We'll be monitoring it all week long.
Sponsored by Akron Children's Hospital.